Kia ora, good evening. Economic confidence has grown in the south by 38%, rising from deep pessimism to cautious optimism, according to the latest Westpac McDermott Miller economic survey. The Tiwai aluminium smelter remains embattled. However, an excellent growing season has seen many southern farmers benefit from the surge in dairy prices caused by the drop in New Zealand's overall milk production. At a national level, generally, there's been a modest rise from 3 months ago, with the majority of households remaining cautiously optimistic about the economy. Cantabrians are the most optimistic by far, buoyed by post-earthquake building, distantly followed by Auckland. Drought-stricken at Northland, Waikato, Gisborne and Hawke's Bay have seen a drop in economic confidence. Weekend rain brought little relief to most of Southland, with groundwater and soil moisture levels barely registering change, according to Environment Southland. On average, around 9 millimetres of rain fell across the region, although good falls at Whitestone and in the upper reaches of the Areti and Aparima were enough to bring flows back to normal levels briefly. Environmental Management Director Warren Tuckey says without more rain, the impact will be short-lived. 38 consent holders have suspended taking water and 2 have stopped discharging due to low river levels. Environment Southland is holding a briefing tomorrow for rural representatives, environmental groups and those interested in the impacts of the dry period. There were 4 structure fires over 3 days in Invercargill at the weekend, with 2 of them serious. Fire investigators and police are working to establish the cause of a fire at this Auburn roadhouse last night. The fire is being treated as suspicious and started in a bedroom at the back of the house. It's the second serious structure fire over the past few days, with emergency services called to this Pomona Street house late on Friday afternoon after a young child playing with a lighter set fire to bedding. Coming into winter, the fires have prompted a warning.
Certainly if they use chimneys to get those checked, because of they're used a lot earlier down our way, we want to make sure that they're checked at least twice a year. Make sure they've got working smoke alarms. That's imperative for good safety in the home. Keep looking while they're cooking, not to, when it's warm in the house in one room and they're cooking in another room, to wander off and leave the cooking unattended. So those are 3 clear messages coming into winter that we want people to think about. Another one might be if they are using things like open fireplaces, not to put stuff on the racks in front of them. Keep a metre from the heater rule. So there's some clear messages that we want people just to think about. We've had a great summer, but as they start warming up for winter, to have those messages clear in their mind.
What about electrical equipment such as electric blankets and heaters?
Definitely get those tested. We know because of the age of some of them, just to go down and get the electrician to check them out. They have a high failure rate after quite a few years, so we've just got to make sure that if they are going to consider using an electric blanket, get it checked by an electrician.
Police are warning the public to secure their properties and vehicles and ensure firearms are locked away following a spate of burglaries over the weekend. In 3 incidents on Friday and Saturday nights, thieves targeted properties in the East Road and Mill Road South area. Of particular concern was the theft of 2 firearms which had been left unsecured at one of the premises. Property was also stolen from an unsecured vehicle, while a trail bike and other items were taken from another address. Investigations are continuing and anyone with information is asked to contact Crime Stoppers on 0800 555 111. Southland's illicit past was celebrated at the weekend with a strong turnout to the annual Hokanui Moonshiners Festival. Numbers more than doubled at this year's festival in Gore. More than 1,300 people were at the event, with committee member Jim Geddes saying it was one of the biggest crowds the event has seen. He says the headline acts, Anna Mac and Op Shop, helped draw people. As well as whiskey, the event also featured entertainment and a variety of foods. Mr Geddes says it couldn't have been a better day. After the break, what drew firefighters from across Southland and Otago to a rural Southland town at the weekend? Welcome back. Future employment opportunities in the Gore district have taken a serious hit recently, with possible changes to the future of Solid Energy's briquette processing plant and Alliance halting sheep processing in Mataura. I spoke to Gore District Mayor Tracy Hicks about Solid Energy and the challenges the area is facing.
From a council perspective, I feel quite frustrated. We've spent a lot of time over the last 2 or 3 years getting to a point where we understand some of the challenges that might be up before us as a community as that energy source is developed, and for them to strike the problems they've got now is extremely frustrating.
So the plant is still being commissioned. They are looking at getting a partnership with an Australian company. What's happening with the land?
I think there's a lot happening in the background in terms of Solid Energy, but who knows what that might look like. And we see in the media that they're looking at selling some of the land. So probably you know as much as I do in that respect. So it's a bit of an unknown quantity. I guess from a community's perspective, we do need to understand that the resource is there. It's not going away. There are a number of organisations and entities that would like to develop that, so we need to be ready and able to meet the challenge when it comes along toward us.
So that's been coupled with the closure of the sheep processing at Mataura?
Yeah, like what's happened in Mataura is a real challenge. Sheep processing in Mataura has been there for a long time, and not to have it has been a real blow for that community. But there is also some opportunities there in terms of beef processing, so I think it's more of a transition than anything else, but in the short term, certainly a challenge for a lot of people.
Southland dairy farmers are being urged to reduce levels in effluent ponds ahead of winter so they're not caught short in the event of heavy rains and wet soils. Environment Southland Acting Compliance Manager Helen Manches encourages dairy farmers to take advantage of dry autumn conditions to ensure effluent ponds are emptied before temperatures drop and soil moisture levels rise. She says effluent can improve soil conditions through nutrient value and added soil moisture, and farmers should use this period to reduce effluent levels. Environment Southland says website tools are provided for farmers that indicate when effluent applications are suitable. Farmers could face penalties if effluent ponds are left to overflow. Dozens of firefighters descended on a rural Southland town at the weekend, taking part in a competition which has now been running for several decades. Sarah Bedford explains.
Around 140 firefighters descended on the Southland town of Otago at the weekend, but there wasn't so much as a wisp of smoke to be seen. It was a long-standing event that drew 23 teams of rural and volunteer firefighters from across Southland and Otago to compete in the Otago Wagex competitions. The competition has been running for 42 years and it's the second time Otago has hosted. Organising committee member Brent Stern says competition is tough.
Fairly fierce, yeah, like we'll say that we'll just tick away, but we don't. Everyone's out there to win, but at the end of the day, when the trophies get handed out, no one really cares.
The competition started in 1971 with 3 Forest Service teams from Glenorchy, Stewart Island and Omarama who wanted to practice their rural firefighting skills. Referee Mike Furby has been one of the driving forces that's kept it running. He says it's seen huge growth over the years.
It's got massive, yeah, and it's terrific. The team members, you see them just about every year. We've got guys here that are in their late 50s, early 60s still running, but they still love it.
The competition tests the firefighters' skill in using their equipment, thinking outside the square and performing tasks quickly and correctly. Mr. Furby says it's essentially what firefighters do in real fire situations and is good training.
It betters them as firefighters, especially pump operators, and also they get to mix with other team members, so if they actually go to a fire you might find that, oh, this guy, he was at the competitions, he can come with us, so yeah, they know that those people know how to operate the gear.
Dunedin rural firefighter Craig Coburn was returning to compete for a second time with more than one reason for doing so.
Just a bit of fun, and it's good practice using the gear, so when there is a fire, just good practice, I guess.
Otago women's team representative Lenore Morris isn't a firefighter but put in the hard yards to prepare for the event.
We've been practising for about 9 weeks now. Yeah, just every Thursday night, and then we've had a couple of weeks with 2 practices. But no, it's been really good. We've enjoyed it.
The overall competition was won by Tianao, with host Otago taking second place. In the women's event, Glenorchy took top spot, with Otago again second. Next year's event is being held in Glenorchy. Sarah Bedford, South Today News.
8 young southern farmers pitted themselves against each other at the weekend, vying for the title of Young Farmer of the Year. Building a gate was just one of the many challenges thrown at competitors in the Otago Southland Young Farmer Regional Final. Competitors took on a range of practical challenges at the Southern Field Day site on Saturday, including driving a digger, pruning trees and treating a cow. The competition also has a theory component. The winner was 27-year-old Dean Ravage, who will now represent the region at the ANZ Young Farmer National Final. It was the Wyndham Farmers' second time competing. Southland students have been getting a first-hand look at a tracking station on the outskirts of Invercargill that will soon play a big role in a European Space Agency launch. Close to 70 students from 3 Southland secondary schools have been given a tour of the Aurora tracking station over the past week. Venture Southland Enterprise Projects Manager Robin McNeil says the purpose of the school visits is to get students excited about space and considering jobs in the industry. Students looked at equipment, watched a slideshow, were able to ask questions and meet the 3 technicians working to prepare for the launch of an Ariane 5 rocket scheduled to take off on June 7th. And that's it from news. Coming up in sport, post-match thoughts from the Highlanders assistant coach Scott McLeod following another close loss. That's after the weather next. Good night.